Hello, welcome to episode 5 in the Datapack DevLog series. Today is not really going to be so much of an addition, it's going to be more questions for you. Okay, so I haven't really got anything to show you, we're just going to go straight over to the Datapack. Here we go. Now, what I wanted to do, at the moment, the Disenchanting Book recipe gives you 8 books for 1 witch soul. Now, I want to change it so you get 1 book for 1 witch soul, but then you can dupe the books. Now, because the book is an item with custom data, that means we can't use it in a crafting recipe. So we could do floor crafting, or we could use the sacrificial fire, which is going to be added at some point. I'm hoping maybe to get that added soon. Or what we could do is we could change the Disenchanting Book so it is actually a separate item. We could use one of the music discs or something like that, or an unobtainable item that has no uses. Only use it for the Enchanting Book. And this is the version I prefer. And then we can just in the crafting table stick in a Disenchanting Book, a normal book, and some sort of magic dust and dupe the books. So that's what I'm thinking we're going to do. Now I shouldn't have to change how things work. So any existing books, let's look at the functions. Disenchanter. Right click the Disenchanter. So does it even... So if you're holding it in your right hand, it doesn't need to check it because, maybe it's an advancement system, right click Disenchanter. So all we're checking for is it's got Disenchanter true. We're not checking what type of item it is. So that's cool. So all the old Disenchanters would still work, but you wouldn't be able to use them to dupe. So you could still use them up. And then you can make yourself a new one with a witch soul, and that one you could dupe. Okay, so that's cool. That's not going to remove anything from anyone. It's just going to add something new to any new books you make. So I think that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. So the question is, do you like that idea? So your first book needs a witch soul. Then every other book can be duped off your first one just using some dust and another book. And that's where I got the idea from. Okay, so there's that. And then the sacrificial fire, I'm thinking what I'll do with that is it just stores soul power. So instead of saying, I've got 5 husk souls, 4 zombie souls, 3 spider souls, etc., I think it'll just store soul power. So something like a zombie would give it maybe 1 soul power, but if you killed something like a ravager on top, it would give it 500 soul power. And then... I don't know what we're going to use the fire for yet. That's something I don't know. But then maybe you use the fire and it requires 500 soul power to do something, or 1,000 soul power to do something. So that's my idea. What do you think of that one? That would require souls to be changed, because if we look at a soul at the moment, if we go into Minecraft, loot tables, entities, Breeze will do. Currently, every single soul is a different item, and every single soul has different custom data. So I didn't plan ahead here. What I would do is I would add an extra piece of custom data. So it would be custom data, soul breeze true, and just soul true. So it'd have 2 bits of custom data. Then... in my function for my sacrificial fire, where can we find that? It's not added here. Maybe it would be in here. Where is the sacrificial fire? Because we made it before as a tutorial. So let's see if we can find it. Yeah, this looks like it. Okay. So let's scroll up a bit. And then we would be doing, let's see, where are we? Process item. So here... this execute if items contents poisonous potato. Well, we'd change that. Instead of being a poisonous potato, we'd change that to just star. And then all it has to do is have soul true on it. So that would give us our first check. And then once we've done our first check, we could then check to see what type of soul it is. Is that going to be more efficient? So we're going to process every item anyway. I think so, yeah. We want to process every item and then saying if entity, well, maybe it won't be so bad. If entity is so-and-so music disk, then run this function. If it's this music disk, run this function. How about thinking ahead even more? Instead of saying sol true, I could say something like sol power and give it a number. And then we'll change the poisonous potato to star. So it doesn't matter what music disk it is. It's going to say, sol power. Actually, we'll give it 2. So this will be sol true. So it's any old music disk or any item. It is a sol. Then we'll run process mob sol. And then in process mob sol, we will check its sol power and we'll just extract the sol power off the item. So instead of saying if it's this music disk or if it's sol breeze, add 5. If it's sol zombie, add 1. If it's sol creeper, add 2. Instead, what we'll do is we'll just have the power stored on the sol itself. Now, does this break anything in the game? I think the only problem we would have is all old sols would still work at the moment. They would work for crafting recipes, but you wouldn't be able to throw them onto the sacrificial fire. The fire wouldn't recognize them. Or, worse, it might recognize them, and because they've got it wouldn't recognize them because they won't have sol true. They'd only, yeah. Okay, so we would add something. Now, I don't think this is how you do it, but we would add, so that would be sol breeze. We'd add sol true. That's definitely not how you do it. We'd add sol true, and then we would have sol power, and we would give it a number there. So we'd be adding these 2 things to each sol. So as they still work in crafting, and they probably just wouldn't work on the sacrificial fire. So again, we're not taking anything from someone. They still work as they are. You could still make things with them. If you've got, saved up a few witches' souls or other souls, you can still craft with them. But they won't go on the soul fire, which I think is fine, because you stick one of these soul fires underneath any spawner, you're going to get some soul power pretty quickly. So I would say the things that are easier to make farms with. So if you're dropping the souls, so zombie farm, super easy to make. Husk farm, yeah. Creeper farm's pretty easy. Skeleton farm's pretty easy. Any of those generic mobs, those would all have quite low power soul because it's easy to chuck them on top. You could make a Ravager farm, couldn't you, using raid or something? But how do you extract the Ravagers and then direct them so they die on top of a soul fire? Or a sacrificial fire? If you're doing that, you deserve a lot of points, to be honest. So what I would do is I would just use the zombie spawner in my base and just have it ticking up in 1s. So that's the plan. So, okay, let's do a recap. Let's not save this file. Can I just close that without saving it? Don't save. So let's do a quick recap. Here are your questions. We're going to change the disenchanting book. So the first book requires 1 soul. You get 1 book. We're going to change the item that the book is, so you can now use it in a crafting table to dupe more books just with a piece of dust. You don't need another witch soul. I like this idea. So they're locked behind finding a witch and killing it, but once you've done that once, you're good to go. And then we're going to get the sacrificial fire, and that is just going to store soul power. Tougher mobs give more soul power. Oh, here's an extra bonus question for you then. What can we do with the sacrificial fire? We could not change the disenchanting book, and we could use the sacrificial fire and do floor crafting on the sacrificial fire. And if we're doing floor crafting, then it doesn't matter about custom data. We can check for custom data if we're doing floor crafting. So maybe that's an alternative. So maybe instead of duping books in the crafting table, we chuck our book on top of the sacrificial fire. We chuck the disenchanting book, another book, and a piece of dust. And then it uses up a piece of soul power to create another book. Oh, okay. What do you think of that version? So that's it. It's just a nice little short video, just what I'm thinking of doing. If I don't get many comments, then I'll probably go with... I don't want to keep changing things, so I've got to decide which one will I go with. So sacrificial fire will have soul power. I'll do that. It won't store individual souls. It will just store soul power. That I will do. And disenchanting book, I think we will go with... I think we'll just... If we just go with the crafting table version, then we're not ticking anything. But as soon as we add the sacrificial fire, we're going to be ticking stuff anyway. I can't make my mind up on the disenchanting book. I kind of like the sacrificial fire version. It means it gives you a reason to have the fire now. And we'll put a cap on the fire, the soul power for the fire as well. Cap soul power. Maybe it can be expanded. Maybe the cap can be upgraded. I kind of like that idea. So we cap the soul power at like 1,000 or something. And then you can chuck things on top of the soul fire to raise the cap. I kind of like that idea. Something else we need to check as well. If I make myself a soul fire, because it is effectively, well, a sacrificial fire, it is just a soul fire, I bet you can push these with pistons, can't you? I can't even see piston. There we go. I bet you can push these with pistons. Oh, that's nice to know. You can't. That means I don't have to do any checks to see if someone pushes it with a piston. I can just keep the one check to see if it's broken, and then the marker inside can be removed. Okay, so that's really nice. Oh, I like that. Okay. So, what do you think? Disenchanting books, you get one. You can dupe it using a crafting table. Sacrificial fire uses soul power, just drop any mobs on it. So if you stuck it underneath, like the generic mob farm in my Dataland series, if I put a sacrificial fire under that, I'm not going to need to have to drop any tough mobs on it. The thing's going to fill up so fast that it's absolutely fine. So we'll do that. I might play around with both versions to see which I like. Right, if I don't get any comments saying, hey, this one, or definitely don't do this, I think I'll try both versions. Just to experiment, really. Okay, that's it for today. Just a short one. Still a bit of a bad back still. Sitting down is horrible. Unfortunately, I don't have to sit down for much longer because I've got to go out and do some classes, so not looking forward to that. Anyway, you guys have a great day. Take care. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.